Yes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, March 18th, 2014. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In accordance with Mass General laws, I have to announce that this meeting is being recorded by East Long Meadow Cable Access Television and also by the Selectmen's office, and I have to ask if anyone in the audience is recording it. Seeing no one, we can proceed. Our first appointment at theoretically 6 p.m. is from Emeritus from East Long Meadow. Phil?
Yes.
Come on up.
Hi, Phil. Whoops. Hi. Phil.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How are
Hey,
you?
good
How
to
you
see you
been?
again.
Likewise, how you been?
Phil.
Hi, Phil. Nice to meet you.
Right here, good?
Sure, that's fine. Sure. I was making a copy of something. If you'd like, obviously many of us know who you represent, but if you want to give us a brief overview while our town administrator's getting some paperwork that he needs.
Sure.
You are from Emeritus. at East Long
Emeritus
Meadow.
at East Long Meadow. We are an assisted living community. We have 103 apartments, of which 32 are dedicated to memory care. So we have a memory care neighborhood. And within that memory care neighborhood, we can actually assist with 55 residents because some of the apartments are Jack and Jill, so they are shared. We are slated, hopefully, to begin taking residents sometime in April. We're just waiting for state approval. The state has to come in and grant us our license to operate as an assisted living facility. We will serve our residents 3 meals a day, plus all the snacks and food they need, have plenty of socialization and activities for them. And we're trying to provide them a safe place to live and live with dignity in our community.
Great, great. If I might start out by welcoming you to the community. Obviously,
Thank you.
as the population ages, since I'm one of them, these services are going to be needed more and more, and it's nice to see
Thank you.
a well-run organization coming in.
Thank you very much.
and
I
helping out.
appreciate it.
And you were here tonight. We get the easy licenses. We don't have to do the state certification and everything, but we get the licenses having to do with food and hours of operation and the like. So we might as well just get right into this.
Sure.
The first is a food establishment permit. So I'd like to make a motion to approve a food establishment permit for Emeritus at East Long Meadow.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. A milk and cream license for Emeritus.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
A common victualler license.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And the hours of operation, which I assume are for the kitchen?
It's for the kitchen.
Yeah.
We're
I didn't-
24/7,
Right.
That's
but
what I was
it's for
gonna
the
ask.
kitchen.
We
Yeah.
live here for 2 hours.
Right.
No, it's
Right.
6 a.m. to 8
It's 6
p.m.
a.m. to
Okay.
8 p.m.
14 hours,
It's
yes.
for the residents to have meals.
Yes. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the hours of operation of the kitchen from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just ask that that become a little clearer on the application, that that's just for the kitchen, because it really looks like it's for your operation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was one
So-
of the questions I had when they called me was, is this for complete operation or just for the kitchen? So how, do I need to
No,
change that?
I'll
or
just
will we?
have Lorraine put
Okay.
note on it. I would think that
Perfect.
would be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Alrighty, and just to note that the food applications and health inspection were approved by the health agent previously. Other than that, you are all set to go, as far as we're concerned.
Thank you very
And
much.
once again-
Appreciate it.
Welcome and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you.
Do I need to? Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Do I need memory care? Yes.
Correctly.
The memory
Okay,
care
got it.
neighborhood.
Okay,
It's not, it's a secure environment.
okay.
Because there's more, there's dementia, there's other things, and not just Alzheimer's,
It all
right?
falls under
Yeah,
it.
no, it's-
It's memory care
Memory
neighborhood. It's
care.
more-
Okay,
more-
that's why I
more
wanted to ask
dignity.
if it was, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Everything we do is about keeping the residents.
Very nice.
dignity, so.
Great,
Oh,
thanks,
thank
Phil.
you.
My only question is, kitchen operation, do I need to pick up a license tomorrow, like an actual physical license, or are we okay to start cooking? Dry run, like if we wanted to do a dry run, I don't wanna violate anything that I'm not supposed to.
You should need to pick up the license.
You'll call me when it's, okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Take care.
I learned something new today. I didn't know
Please.
was a dirty
Milk
word.
and cereal until
Well,
everybody.
It's,
It's
you know what,
okay.
it's like,
It's
it's
all
like
right.
mental retardation. They don't call it that anymore. It's
No, you're right.
Developmentally
Yeah,
disabled.
yeah,
See, it's all-
okay,
it's all-
yeah, okay.
It's all verbiage.
Live and learn, live and
That's
learn.
right. Our 610 appointment is Greg Thompson and Chairman of the School Committee and Gordon Smith et al.
Pleasure.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Paul, good to see you. Good to see you.
And I'll let you, I know you were in front of us before a while back, and I'll let you re-explain why you're here.
Okay. Well, one, thank you for the opportunity to be here
Our
and
pleasure.
discuss our statement of interest for East Long Meadow High School. The last time we were here, we were outlining the process that is involved in drafting a statement of interest, and part of that process is that once the draft has been completed and is at the point of submission, we need, before they would even entertain reading the statement of interest, you need approval for that submission of the statement of interest from the school committee and the Board of Selectmen. So this evening, I think in your package you had a copy of the full draft, and then you probably had a vote language template that looked like this.
Yes.
And you had also the language that the school committee used at their last meeting,
Right.
which was March 10th. So we wanted to, one, answer any questions that you might have around the statement of interest, the draft, also the submission process, and then provide you with language that you could use, which is very similar to the language that the school committee used. The elements that are needed are those priority elements, priority 3, priority 5, and priority 7. They have to be in the language that's used in the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
The one he typed.
Oh, okay. That's what I just gave to,
Oh, is that the one, is that the actual?
oh, I'm sorry.
Spoon fed, I love it.
I apologize. Did I just give
Not
you
a
the
problem.
school board one?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And, you know, trying to change dates and stuff, that could be a daunting task.
Right.
so I figured-
Right.
All right, so, first of all, as far as questions, I know we probably all had the same question at one time or another, and we may have
Sure.
approached you with it. I know I did outside. This just gives you the opportunity to approach the state as far as getting in the loop, if you will,
Right.
for the potential of a school and the potential of funding from the state. This is something you have to do.
Right.
By no means is anyone tied into anything, because obviously you have to
No.
go to town vote. So,
Right.
so just to keep that clear, I don't know if you want
We're
to
asking-
add to that.
We're asking for permission from the school board, the Massachusetts School Building Authority, to enter within their pipeline, their process, to just begin the process, and they basically look at our 28-page report that you've all received, and look through it and say, yes, this looks like a viable project. Doesn't mean that they will approve renovation or new building, but it just invites us into the project, or the process at least. And yes, so to answer your question, no, it's just the beginning phases to really explore the idea.
Right, I just want to make that clear for the
Sure.
listeners. Are there any questions from any of the board members?
Well, I know the answer, but just some of the people
Sure.
out there might not know the answer. Once this could you just go through the steps? Once this process, we
Sure.
sign, or if we were to say okay for this, then you
Right.
go, and what happens after that?
Okay.
Just so that, to really nail it home that this is not, tomorrow they're not gonna see a new building out there and see their
Right.
That would be cool.
It would be pretty cool. If we could do that,
money
that
tree too.
That's it.
might be in a different line of work, but
Yeah.
basically, this vote, along with the school committee vote, simply allows us to submit to the Mass School Building Authority. They will not even look at the statement of interest without the two approvals, and all you're approving is the actual submission.
Right.
And we have to do that by April 11th. So, once that's done, then it's a little bit of a waiting game.
Right.
Between now and October of 2014 or early November of 2014, they will review, they being the Mass School Building Authority, will review all the different statements of interest that they've received for 2014. At that point, we might be invited into what they call the eligibility period. If we're invited into that eligibility period, then there are another series of steps that we would have to go through as a town to begin the process of possibly looking at what type of large capital project might we do at the high school.
Right.
That would be really the first time the town, well, once
Right.
we would have to do a feasibility study, and that would
Right.
require a town meeting vote.
Right.
Right,
To
and
just
so that would-
enter into the study alone, that's not even
Right.
the whole project, so,
Right.
but that's kind of how we look at it as the first barometer, whether
Right.
or not the voters are interested in a project of this nature, because if their intent is to go forward with some sort of comprehensive project, then you would think that the town would support that feasibility study, so that's really the first,
Yeah,
like I
and-
said, barometer of.
And all of our town meetings
Folks
are
want to do.
advertised, so everybody would get enough time to
Sure.
be able to come and have a conversation between
Right.
the town meeting and then, or also have one on the town floor. That's essentially what I was getting to.
Sure.
That's all.
And sort of the attractiveness of being involved in the process is that if you're invited into the eligibility period, you would go through a process to learn what would East Long Meadow be eligible for in terms of reimbursement through the Mass School Building Authority.
Right.
And I would think that would be something
100%.
that, the citizens would want to know.
That'd be no brainer.
Right.
Right, it
Okay.
helps in the decision
Ex-
making, yeah.
Absolutely, I
Right.
agree, 110%.
Okay, great,
Okay,
great.
thank you,
You're welcome.
both
Any
of
additional
you.
questions?
That's it for me.
Okay, in that, I would like to make a resolution to be theoretically approved by my board. Resolved, having convened in an open meeting on March 18th, 2014, the Board of Selectmen of East Long Meadow, Massachusetts, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the Statement of Interest form dated on or before April 11th, 2014, for East Long Meadow High School located at 180 Maple Street, which describes and explains the following deficiencies and the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Priority 3, prevention of loss of accreditation. Priority 5, replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in a school facility. Priority 7, replacement of or addition to obsolete buildings in order to provide for a full range of programs consistent with state and local approval, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting the statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits the East Long Meadow School District to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for not having me reread that.
We could have done
There
it.
you go.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks. Oops, sorry.
Now we are actually running on time. Our next appointment is our fire chief,
Oh,
Paul Morissette.
why did I jump
How are you, sir?
Great, how are you? Looking forward to the warm weather.
And that is when?
Yeah, that is when.
Or where are you
warming up.
going?
No, it's warming up.
Yeah.
It is warming up.
All right. We have a number of items tonight.
Yeah.
I believe the first item is a couple of resignations.
Yep. Jason Harris and Dan Costura were both existing career firefighters that last year showed an interest. And actually, when I was soliciting for call firefighters, they came in, filled out the applications. I spoke to them. Their credentials were extremely deep. One of them is a captain on the department he's on. Unfortunately, their work schedule, they work a 72-hour shift, and their personal life, their children are young, their wives are both working, so they weren't able to make a lot of our drills, and by most of them, and their call percentage was in the low single digits. In my eyes, I spoke with them, asked them if they could, actually spoken to them a couple of times, asked them if they could do better, and this last time it was, you've got all I got. And timing-wise, it works for me. I'm in the process of, soliciting applications for call firefighters for the program that begins in July with the state. I've already received permission from the board for 3. With these 2 guys stepping down, I'd like to increase that to 5. The cost for the town out of pocket is about $290 for the physical per person. But we don't pay for the training. The state covers that. We have their gear. We don't need to buy anything for them. So it's kind of a nice deal for us.
Okay.
So timing-wise, it works.
Question
Yes.
to the chair. Did we get a letter from them stating that they were stepping down?
We have not gotten a letter from each one of them. I asked them for an email from both of them or a letter, but I have not. One of them's turned in all his equipment, his pagers and other items that he had. The other one is turning his stuff in on Thursday.
On Thursday?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, so.
okay. All right, so I would think,
Okay, if not to jump ahead, but we'd already approved 3, so we might as well just jump ahead to this. And I'd like to make a motion to allow the chief to look to seek 2 additional call firefighters to fill the slots of these 2, I would assume.
Correct.
Okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second,
Any discussion?
I would ask that, and assuming that it comes through, that it moves forward after all that information, either a resignation or the equipment is returned.
Yep.
Okay?
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that took care of that and that. Okay. Next item is you want to appoint a firefighter to the position of captain.
With Sean moving from captain to deputy, he left the captain spot. Joe Reale has been a lieutenant with the fire department for a few years now. He's been on the fire department for 15 years, qualified driver, participates in quite a bit of the programs, the training programs we did. They actually just finished the fire officer program. Talking about percentages and response time to drills, Joe makes all but 1 drill a year. Maybe he's on vacation, and his percentage is in the low 60s, which is where we try to encourage. So qualified guy, definitely a qualified candidate for the position.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Not right now.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to, let's see, how would I word this? To allow the chief to appoint Lieutenant Joe Reale to the position of captain.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Did you have a chance to get that financial information?
Printed a couple copies.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Selectman Thorpe was curious about some of the pay rates for the individuals. Trying to explain it on the phone was a little, not knowing exactly how we operate. There's career rates, there's call firefighter rates, there's first hour rate, there's second hour rate. So I tried to break it down that way for you folks.
Okay.
Okay.
And so, my question to our captain was that, is there, as far as his budget goes, is this going to cause any increase in his budget? And he assured me that it was not.
Okay. Because you're basically stepping up. Sean's taking Steve's place.
Right, which was already a funded position.
Right, and Steve's taking, Joe's taking Sean's place.
For
which is
much
already-
less of a rate.
Playing movement,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for
All right,
much,
so much less of a rate?
for much less of a
So what
rate.
are you turning back?
We're not turning back anything.
We
Yeah,
have to
just like
talk
the school
about that.
department. Anyways.
Okay.
I just told him I'm not getting anything because of you. Thanks.
And the next item is moving, no pun intended, but moving up the ladder. You want to replace Joe
Joe's
Reale's
position.
position with.
Right, exactly. Dan Fazio, for those of you that don't know Dan, he was a godsend when he got on the fire department. He's one of those guys who just, you call Dan up, Dan, we need a hand with this. Dan, can you work today? Dan, can you do this? He's been super. He just actually completed the fire officer training program along with some of the other guys. His professional career at Lego, he's their safety officer for United States. So he has a heck of a responsibility. But in that responsibility, he also is able to give us the time. His percentage is in the high 60s to low 70s. He's a qualified driver of all apparatus. He's actually taking part in the driver training program now, bringing new drivers into the mix. So definitely a team player for us.
Okay, great. I'd like to make a motion to allow the chief to appoint firefighter Dan Fazio to the position of lieutenant.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, we already acted on the call firefighter, so you, next item is you're looking for the hiring of a new career firefighter.
Correct. In our last round, when we solicited the department, our current call department, this was back in October. I think we began it in August, but we received 7 applications in-house from call firefighters. This round, I've received 4. The deadline was last week. I received 4. Excuse me. We narrowed it down to 4, brought the 4 to the board. My question for the board is, would you like to interview the 4 at this? We were tentatively scheduled to do it at my April meeting. Is that something you would like to do, or would you like me to narrow it down, or would you like to do something completely different?
I wouldn't mind entering.
No, because we won't be consistent. If we had 4 come in last time,
That's
then we might as well have the
perfect,
4
yeah.
come in this
That's
time.
what I said.
Yeah.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, that's perfect. So,
Okay.
and that's kind of what I was thinking, but we can, so I will work with Nick to get the schedule set up on that meeting, and I'll forward the resumes and,
Yeah, that's our second meeting, right?
right,
April 15th?
yes.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
Oh, for you, yeah, that is.
That's all right.
Oh.
Okay. Next,
Next,
your,
Well, can you do it then,
Yeah, I
the
can-
following one?
no, I can do it. We can do it. That'll be fine.
Okay.
If I'm not done by then, I'm not gonna be done.
give me a trouble.
Next item is the fire pumper.
I understand you spoke with Tony Zampacini.
Yes.
I guess,
We've got, if you don't mind me interrupting, we get 2 things going here. The first thing is.
Absolutely.
The
Thank
first
you.
thing is, I was asked about the pumper,
yeah,
which, I mean, obviously the board has to vote on it, but it would be nice to have someone do something with it if they can
Correct.
do it in their spare time. I know some retired firefighters want to take it and make it whatever, parade worthy or however.
right.
The problem is, all of a sudden, the old fire station's been included in the mix,
And I
and
don't-
I don't think, and once again, I'm speaking for the board, and I don't want to do that, so feel free to jump in. I don't think the board's in any position to, I know we're gonna do some repairs on it, but to, what is wanted to be done is to turn that building into a garage to house this fire station, and I don't think that's the highest
you.
and best use that we could come up with for the town. So I tried to explain that to Mr. Zampacini, and that's where I told him that, in my opinion, once again, I wasn't speaking for the board, I was speaking for myself, but in my opinion, there's absolutely no way we could commit to that right now with that
Thank
building.
you.
So if, I guess, the first thing is, and it's just thinking out loud, if someone wanted to take this project on, I would think they would probably have to do it in a private garage somewhere, because you don't want it done there
I would think there'd be some liability, first of all, for the fire department and then the town.
if they were working on it there.
If they were working
Yeah.
on it there.
Right, right.
Question,
Sure.
through the chair. Would we retain the ownership of it?
According to Tony Zampacini, and this is all through Tony, he would prefer that the town retain ownership.
Okay.
Tony's eventual goal or desire would be to try and get, and he said this a number of times to me, is to get CPC money, Community Preservation Fund, and
Okay.
6:30, it's just a test. And he also tried to mention kept saying the word that the association would take over the support of the building on Shaker Road. And the association has not endorsed, discussed, or any of that yet. So if that starts to make its way around, please understand, the association is a very committed group. they haven't committed to that yet.
Okay.
So.
Okay, what is through the chair?
Mhm.
The association
The association is a member of everybody on the fire department. It's just a group of guys. We have a small, it's everybody that's on the department. We're members to benefit each other. If somebody
Okay.
gets hurt, you know, they support the family.
So this is
Not
just in
financially.
East Long Meadow, or
It's
is
just
this
East Long Meadow.
Okay.
Right, it's just
all
the East
right,
Long Meadow.
okay,
It's
so-
just members of the East Long Meadow Fire Department, along with some honorary members,
Okay.
retired guys, Tony Zampacini. you know.
Okay. Through the chair,
Mhm.
would it not be a good idea to have Mr. Zampacini in to present what his plan is before we?
To be honest with you, I thought he was gonna come tonight, but then after he spoke with Selectman Federici, he
Right.
said he was not gonna, so.
Well, if he wants to come in and discuss fixing the pumper
Mhm.
somewhere,
Right.
that's great, but if he wants to add
Thank
the
you.
building to it, then I don't think, I don't think we're ready to discuss that, put that additional piece in, so, like I said, and I don't know, maybe you should have him come in and maybe we
we
can
should
do that
put
for
that
one
on
of
hold
the next
until we
meeting or
speak
meeting
with
after. I
him.
mean, I don't think there's an immediate rush in this, but, because you've got, it's in pieces, isn't it?
It's in pieces.
Okay.
It was taken apart in the late 1990s.
Oh,
And the gentleman that took it apart, Richie Hawley, passed away, several years ago. And the guys that worked with him are all retired that did that, with him. So, according to some of the guys who've tried to work on it, there's some pieces that are missing. It's been at some different body shops from here, back then. So,
okay.
to try and locate it, Tony and a couple of the guys that are currently in the department got estimates at one point to try and get it restored to parade worthy. And it's a frame off restoration, so we're talking close to $80,000 to $90,000. And I think the town's got better places to spend $80,000 to $90,000.
Okay, but once again, if
I'll mention it to Tony.
yeah, if he does want to come in, he can get in touch with Nick, and
Yep.
they can discuss, and like I said, we want to just talk about topic A, which is
Absolutely.
them getting the fire truck out of your station and getting it,
Having somebody work.
having somebody work on it, but not in the building on Shaker Road.
Yep.
Okay. All right, next, we're back to the boot drive in the ring.
The boot drive in the ring. No takers.
Okay. So it's off to good old Tom?
It's off to good old Tom.
Okay. Good luck.
Did you want to come and
I
look at
do.
it?
I will come at
Okay.
this
Okay.
point.
We'll wait. We'll wait until you come
Or
up.
good young
come on
Angela,
out.
one of the two. I'll give
You are just full of it tonight.
Yeah, he
I
is.
have
So
just-
we're just-
Chairman
It's the weather's
It's
breaking.
the head cold.
Let him fly. Okay.
And then last but not least, there was a question regarding past practices with timekeeping on the
Yes.
is it the volunteers, right?
Nope, it's.
Oh, it's everyone?
It's
Okay.
every- it's
Oh, that's right,
everybody.
including training and things?
Right, yeah.
Okay. If you, I don't know if you want to fill us in.
Okay.
I know I spoke
Because it was
to,
confusing.
one of your firefighters about this.
Yep.
That's how it first came to my attention.
And
so
this
it's
is,
not-
that's exactly how I got it. He brought it to my attention, he was all concerned. I tried to explain to him how things have been done since, forever. Whenever, and I'll go back to the career department, whenever a career guy takes an outside program through the Mass Fire Academy, through MEMA, when they work into that next hour, they've always gotten paid for that next hour,
For the full hour.
for the full hour. They've always gotten paid for that full hour. We had a program at the fire station from the Mass Fire Academy. I was there for the first couple of weekends. I was gone for the weekend that he was concerned about. They left. They had a fire call shortly after. He saw the timesheet. The firefighter that was taking care of the timesheets for everybody that day rounded up to the next hour, which is the way it's always been done since before I was even hired in 1995. So he questioned it. He went back to the deputy that was, Sean at the time. Sean changed the payroll to the half hours, to the quarter hours. Everything was adjusted. I got back, he questioned me. I told him, Dave, past practice, this is what's been going on. And then the contract, the union contract for the career guys basically says training that involves the call department, which has always been drill night. Drill nights, everybody gets paid on quarter-hour increments. If they get done at 8:15, they get done at 8:15. So, but I told him I would bring it to the board, get the board's opinion. I mentioned it to Nick. He said maybe Labor Council I'm not sure what you guys want to do with it from here.
So
Yeah.
it's rounded to the next quarter hour as opposed to the next hour?
For drill nights, for like Tuesday nights, we have drill night, is what the career guys training, particularly involving the call department, yes.
So in your scenario, you're talking about, just to tweak it a little bit, if you get done at 8:20, in the quarter-hour scenario, you go to 8:30.
Correct.
But you could go to 9 o'clock in the,
The other scenario,
Okay.
right. The
Actually, a
cost,
quarter hour, if it's 8:20, you go to back to 8:15. It has
Well, I
to
think
be
you-
7 minutes over.
oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
All right.
to go to the 7,
Okay.
8:30, in the
Okay.
example that you supplied.
the total cost, for the 9 firefighters that took the program, to round it, the way past practice has been done, would have been a total of $285.
Extra.
Extra. That was the total. It's not a break the bank type of thing. Again, I mentioned it to the union, I mentioned it to, everybody knows in that department, this is how you've been paid currently. I'm bringing it to the board, and the board can make the decision.
I think it might be something to have Labor Council address, and then we can revisit
I
it.
think so too.
Yeah.
I would rather,
No, that's fine. Yeah.
based on what we're supposed to do with regard to the union, what past practice is not necessarily.
Correct,
That's
correct.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
And if it's okay, I mean, again, I would rather just have council
Right.
advise us.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, I can go either way.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah.
All right, that's what we'll do. All right, great. You're all set?
All set. Excellent. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Yep. We'll see you in a few days.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you have, okay. Well, that's scary. Our next item is a hearing for Thomas Stevens of Elm Street. If you'd like to come up, then we'll have the clerk read it to. How are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
Likewise.
Hi, I'm Barbara Stevens. Hi, I'm
Hello
Barbara
again.
Stevens. Hi, I'm Barbara Stevens.
Okay. I believe this is a health department
It
issue,
is,
so I will
it is.
defer to you.
Okay, if you would read the,
This letter was addressed to Mr. Thomas Stevens of 74 Elm Street, East Long Meadow. Dear Mr. Stevens, your request for a hearing has been scheduled for Tuesday, March 18th, 2014 at 6:30 p.m. in Town Hall Hearing Room at the Town Hall 60 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Massachusetts. You are allowed to request copies of your file prior to the hearing. If you have any further questions, please contact the Board of Health at 525-5400. Very truly yours, Board of Health, Angela Thorpe.
hi,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
And you asked for the hearing, and I was wondering, you can go ahead and state what your issue is.
Okay, we're not disputing any of the findings that the Board of Health may have seen in there, and we fully intend to address all issues that have been brought up from the recent Board of Health inspection.
Mhm.
It's just the timeframe, needing a licensed contractor to make repairs. I have contacted Rocky Construction, a licensed contractor, who has an appointment to evaluate all the concerns the board may have, has made me aware of, and come up with a proposal for a total solution of all problems and make necessary repairs. Mr. Rocker would like to go and make an evaluation after 4:30 p.m. on March 19th.
March
We did
19th, okay.
inform Mr. Kritsky of this with a notice in excess of the 24 hours as required. I guess there's a certified letter for us waiting at the post office. We got to work too late to get that.
Okay.
So Mr. Kritsky is here. I don't know if we can ask him at this time if that is acceptable for us to come there to do the inspection, to make arrangements for repairs.
Yes, we can do that, but
Okay.
why don't we hear everything else that you have to say, and then we'll defer to Mr. Kritsky, if
Thank
that's
you.
okay? Okay?
Okay.
All right. So that's one thing, is that, but it seems, my understanding is the health inspector gave you, the health agent gave you two things to do. One was the inspection within 7 days, I believe it was?
I didn't see that in here. I
Okay.
thought it was the right to request a hearing was 7 days.
The right to request a hearing is 7 days,
Mhm.
but then she asked for the according to the statute,
Okay.
you do have, she wanted you to have somebody come in immediately and look at the property. And so the 19th that does suffice. That's tomorrow.
Okay, we're just making under the wire there with the licensed contractor, because it can't just be anybody, it has to be a licensed contractor. Mr. Rock is a licensed Massachusetts construction supervisor.
Right, he's planning on evaluating the situation, so therefore he'll know whom to hire for all the circumstances.
Okay. And so the next issue would be, I think that would, at least you're moving in the right direction as far as that goes.
Yes.
So what's the next timeline that you're having difficulty with?
The date of correction, that comes pretty soon. They're going to try to get in there, I explained the situation, so they're going to try to get in there as soon as possible, kind of prioritize. Rocket Construction has done other work for us before. The subject property was owned by my parents when they are deceased. I purchased the property on August 11th, 2011, from a family trust of which I was not a trustee. During the past few years, I have been making repairs to the roof as advised by a licensed roofing contractor. The cost to date has been approximately $8,500. I now feel confident that any possible leaks that may have caused a potential mold problem have been eradicated. So I think we've taken away the cause, now we have to remedy the situation, is what I'm trying to...
Okay.
And that's where RACA comes in, to
Yeah.
evaluate the situation.
The
Okay,
damage
but
occurred before.
she did, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
May I?
Sure.
Okay, so our health agent went out and did the investigation on, the evaluation on the 10th of March, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and so what have you done since then?
Attempted to find a painting contractor to deal with the mold issue,
Okay,
and I'm finding out that some people I've dealt with over the years are in fact not licensed.
Okay.
And the person that I wanted to do it, that could do all phases of this, instead of bringing a lot of different contractors, a general contractor could take care of every problem, instead of bringing a lot of different people in, and
Right.
inconveniencing the tenants any more than we have to. So this particular person, who I trust very much, who's worked on the house before, was out of town. Just
okay,
not
and so, but
available.
he's back now, and he'll be
He's
there on the
back now.
19th?
Yes.
And he will present a full plan?
Yes.
Okay, and so, but what you're saying is the timeline here for the April 2nd, you're
Yeah.
concerned about that?
I'm concerned about that, yeah.
Well, okay,
We can make our best effort, but it seems a little bit tight.
well, I'm sure it does, let me agree with you on there. But we are going according to the Massachusetts general laws,
Okay.
and the statute states that you have, she gave you 22. The most that we could extend it would be another 8 days.
Okay.
If the board is so inclined to do that, certainly we could. But I really would like to see that plan. He should have it written up on the 19th, right? Which is tomorrow?
He'll be
Yes.
there tomorrow night, so I imagine I would have it by the next day. I
Okay,
can
good.
definitely push him to do that. I'm sure he did. He's going to
Yes.
be
Okay.
proactive.
Okay, all right. And so, is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Just that this came after an eviction notice was served that may or may not be relevant to this case, but Scott is supposed to vacate the property in 2 weeks.
If I may,
This is
if I may, it's not relevant. The matter is here that he violated the law.
Okay,
And he did bring other people in that brought on some of these problems. We had a flooding situation from his bathroom upstairs, and in order to not have a problem where we had damage with more mold to the ceiling below, we removed the entire ceiling, had a
Okay.
licensed plumber come in, make a repair.
okay.
But-
I'm certainly going to hear from you, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I want to assure you.
But we have he signed a lease. This is a small one-bedroom apartment. He brought additional people in there,
Ma'am,
and
Okay,
I feel
but
that...
what we're speaking on
Ma'am,
here
I
was
is
saying-
just,
Well,
is,
Give him
if
the
I may,
8
through
days
the
to move forward. Just give him an extra 8 days to do it.
Yeah, because if I may, through the chair,
Yes.
this isn't housing court, so
Right.
what's
Right.
happening between the two of you isn't
It-
any concern of
The
ours.
only-
the
We're
only
just
thing that
concerned-
we're
just
concerned about is the Board of
the
Health.
violations and getting them repaired.
I was trying to
so-
establish that he was the cause for some
Well,
of these
but that's,
mold
but
problems.
once again,
Okay.
that's not,
relevant. I think
Okay.
that we should allow him the extra 8 days to get the work done that he needs to get done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Satisfy what you
Okay.
need. That's-
And so that would be an
would
extension
motion
from
that we would
April,
make.
second.
April 2nd to April 10th. But that also, I will entertain a motion that will give on on March 20th, that we receive a detailed plan followed with completion of all the violations no later than April 10th. I'll entertain that
So
motion.
moved.
So moved. Do I hear of a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that passes. So really,
Okay,
all
that's
we're
fine.
here for is for the violations.
Sure.
Because I did listen to you, if he has something that he wants to speak to
Respond. Sure.
with regards to the violations only, then we will hear it at this
I
time.
follow, yeah.
Okay?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you.
Good luck.
I appreciate your time.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget your purse there, miss.
Oh, thank you.
Do accept tips, but not.
Sir, if you'd like to join us?
Yes. I have photos of said damage. Amy, I'm Scott, by the way. I'm sorry. Amy did come out and she did come on my own call.
You were the one who
Amy
initiated the
Tusk-
complaint.
Tusk- yes.
Ms. Selesky Baranski.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I don't hear good doors.
It's okay. Please have a seat.
Yep,
Just only the
absolutely.
complaint,
Yep,
Okay.
and that's
the violations, yeah.
why I'm here, because it's not. The roof had been leaking for over a year. It had been getting ready to go. He did have a contractor come in. They went through the roof at that time. I've had a huge hole in my bedroom. He's been notified of it numerous occasions,
Okay.
every time.
But
There's
you-
leaky storm windows. These are
But
all
all of those are-
addressing violations to what I,
And I don't
Mr.
mean to
Trustee.
cut you off or anything, but all of those were noted, the violations were noted
Yes.
by our health agent.
Yes.
And so we've gotten an order to correct them.
Yes.
And so that's gonna happen no later than April 10th.
Okay.
And then we can move forward if something happens
Okay.
then. Is there anything else that you want to add in addition to that wasn't addressed by our health agent?
Who is this contractor who's coming tomorrow?
Rocker Construction.
Yes, I don't hear.
ROCCA, Rocca.
ROCCA?
Yep.
Okay. Are they in town here?
I believe they're in Springfield. but-
And so you'll be able to have the property available for?
I will.
Okay, so that's your answer that you needed, correct?
came at 4:30, that'd be.
Would 4:30 be
Mm-hmm.
good for you? Great, so you're all set then?
Yep. This matter is in regards to violations only,
Right.
and
Right,
therefore, okay.
that's all we're handling. If you
I
guys
understand
want to
that.
go to a different entity, i.e. housing court, I'm
That's-
not
that's- trust me,
advising
that's in
either
the
way.
works, but yes, okay.
Okay,
Um, all right, it's fine.
Okay, we're
I'll-
set?
I'll address the rest of the council court. Yep.
fantastic, thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for your time.
Good luck.
Sorry
Thank
for the
you.
interruption.
Oh, no, no.
I have to defend this. There is photos there. if,
Okay, and I will look at the, do you need this disc back at
I
some
have several
point?
copies.
Okay, fantastic.
We are a few minutes.
2 minutes
before,
ahead?
Yeah, so what I'll do is, true, but I'm gonna zip through the meetings,
Oh, okay,
invitations,
good.
and reminders, because
Because you can.
it is a hearing and we should adhere to
Oh,
the
that's right.
timeframe, so just in case. Meetings, invitations, and reminders. Cable television ascertainment hearing is Wednesday, March 19th, 7 PM, Council on Aging Media Room, 328 North Main Street. Nick, I'm afraid to ask this, who's running that?
The hearing, Selectmen Clerk.
Thought it was me for a second. Okay. So I got appointments tomorrow night, so. Next item is Candidates Night, Thursday, March 27th, 2014, at 7 PM in the Council on Aging, 328 North Main Street. Next Board of Selectmen's meeting is Tuesday, April 1st, 2014, 6 PM in the Town Hall Hearing Room. And there's notice of meetings from Pioneer Valley Transit Authority regarding proposed PBTA service recommendations. Annual town elections, Tuesday, April 8th, 2014, Birchland Park Middle School, 7 AM to 8 PM. And then for consideration of Board of Selectmen organizational meeting, Wednesday, April 9th, 2014, time and place to be determined.
Does that have to happen then, sir, through the chair?
Not necessarily, you can wait till the 15th.
That's what I was thinking.
Massachusetts Economic Development Council Spring Event, Friday, April 11th, 2014, 9:30 AM to 1:30 PM, Mount Holyoke College, South Hadley. And then the Board of Selectmen's meeting, Tuesday, April 15th, 2014, 6 PM in the Town Hall Hearing Room. And town offices are closed Friday, April 18th in observance of Good Friday, and town offices are closed Monday, April 21st in observance of Patriots' Day. And the Prescription Drug Take-Backs Day is Saturday, April 26th, from 10 AM to 2 PM in the front of the East Long Meadow Police Station.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Two comments. First, with item 33, PBTA service recommendation. Received a communication from a gentleman who is setting those up through the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And I believe that one will be held in early April at the Council on Aging. But that just came through today, and I know that Carolyn's working on that.
Okay.
And then the other comment was, just to be clear, at this point for item 35, the board would defer an organizational meeting until the regular meeting of the 15th and not have one on the 9th.
That's sort of what we're leaning towards.
Yeah.
You want this brought up then for the April 1st
Yes.
agenda?
Yes. Okay. Do we have to wait till 7 for the next hearing?
For, this is an advertised hearing, so.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion for a 2-minute recess.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yeah, the corporation's staying the same, it's just,
Correct.
okay, so I can still call you Fun Dining Inc. Come on up. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
How are you?
Well,
How are you, Bill? How are you? Good to see you. How are you?
Okay, and to begin, we'll have the clerk read the,
Thank you.
read the hearing notice into record.
Okay, Town of East Long Meadow, Mass., Office of the Selectmen, dated March 8th, 2014. Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138 of the General Laws that Fun Dining Inc., DBA Spoleto Restaurant, located at 84 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass. Claudio Guerra, President, has applied for a transfer of stock, new officers, directors, new stockholders, and change in DBA to Fun Dining Inc., DBA Center Square Grill, 84 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass. 01028. William Collins, President. The Board of Selectmen, as licensing authority, proposes to act thereon at the Selectmen's meeting on Tuesday, March 18th, 2014, at 7 PM in the Town Hall Hearing Room at the East Long Meadow Town Hall. Respectfully, Paul Federici, Angela Thorpe, Deborah Boronsky, Board of Selectmen.
Thank you. So we are here. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much. We're very excited to be here.
And if you want, before we get into the nuts and bolts here, if you want to just briefly explain what you're doing.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, my name is Bill Collins. I've been the Chief Operating Officer of Spoleto Restaurant Group, which owned Fun Dining Inc. for my tenure was 15 years. And Mike Saki, my business partner, and was the GM of Fun Dining Inc., DBA Spoleto Restaurant in East Long Meadow. Mike and I had an opportunity to buy the place from Claudio, and out of anybody I could think of in the group who I'd like to partner with, it was definitely Mike Saki. He's been a huge person in this community and at the restaurant here, and so I think we're both very excited about it. We are going to be taking the restaurant from right now an Italian concept and bringing it more towards an Americanized concept, a little more towards the middle. We're going to have a focus on steak, seafood, and fresh pasta. The steaks that we do are going to be as much as we can source locally. We're going to be doing some dry aging in-house. All of our seafood is going to come from the Boston market, which we're actually going to be going out to Boston for. So not only are we trying to go a little more farm to table, a little more local, but really use the fresh and best ingredients as possible while keeping it an affordable local place to come out and have dinner.
Great.
So we're very excited about it, and we've been hearing a lot of good reviews and getting people excited. So we think it'll be good.
Great.
Great, we're excited
great.
as
Good
well.
luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
kindly. Are you gonna have to do any renovation?
No, the place over there is really, I mean, Claudio has done a great job at building the place. The bones are really good. The decorating is gonna be really, changing artwork and.
Some paint on the bathroom wall.
Yeah,
you know,
but nothing major at this point. The real only work that we're doing is gonna be hanging a new sign, and so the planning board has our applications for that, and
Okay.
it'll hopefully be seamless next week.
Okay.
Great. And we have, let's see, I think 5 or 6 or 7 items to do here, so I'd like to start by making a motion for a transfer of stock to the new officers, directors, new stockholders, and a change of DBA to Fun Dining Inc., DBA Center Square Grill, 84 Center Street, East Long Meadow, William Collins, President.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to approve a food establishment permit for the same venue.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve a milk and cream license for the same venue.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'd like to make a motion for a catering license for the same venue.
So moved. So moved.
Okay, you guys gotta get in sync here. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And also a common victualler license.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the hours of operation, which I know they're written here, are they gonna remain the same?
They are.
Nothing's changing.
Okay, nothing's changing, okay.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You need a water?
I think I do in a minute.
Okay. And for entertainment, weekdays and Sundays, which will probably be the same, go along with the same
Correct.
existing
Same
license? Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
So that's just gonna be jazz?
Jazz trio.
Jazz trio?
Yep.
Okay, so if you, I don't know, I'm just asking if they were to have something a little different, because it's just entertainment, would they have to come back before us, or would they just notify us that they're
You're
having
saying yes?
different act?
Yes. I'm hearing yes from the boss in the
Yes,
corner over there.
okay, so this is just for jazz then?
Right, that's what the
Okay.
current license is. If we want to do something in the future, we could always come back and
Yes, you
find
could.
out.
Understood, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And just to note, the food applications and health inspection were approved by the health agent.
Perfect.
And with that, good luck.
Oh,
Thank
wait a
you
minute,
all
we're
very
gonna
much.
vote on it.
Look,
Vote on what?
The last one, the entertainment and
Oh, I thought we
weekday, I
did.
asked a question.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks.
Just
let us
make it
know when the
official.
Okay.
official opening is.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll let you know
We'll
when
keep
friends
you
and
guys-
family are.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
please come in.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, appreciate it.
Have a great night. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you,
Michael
Deb.
Pop.
Absolutely.
Thank you, congratulations, nice to meet you too.
We're
Okay,
on time
our
tonight.
next item is our animal control officer.
Yay.
Come on up, Tom.
Sir?
How are you tonight?
I am well, thanks.
That's good. And you are here for a couple reasons. We have a coyote issue that you folks
Yeah,
had the pleasure of dealing with.
I don't know if it's an issue.
Well, it would be if it was in my yard. So,
Or mine.
so if you'd like to,
That's where we
whoever
live
wants
at.
to, take the
Sure.
lead here.
Well, after a few discussions with Selectwoman Thorpe, I think the best approach to the common occurrence of coyotes frequenting our neighborhoods is to educate the public. One of the things that we plan to do is to have a session at the Council on Aging and hopefully have it broadcast by LCAT. I've had discussions with Mass Wildlife, and they plan to come in and assist in that presentation and answer any questions that our residents have in regards to common sense issues dealing with coyotes in our suburban neighborhoods. As was mentioned, we don't really have, I wouldn't call it an issue, but there's
They're running out of land.
Yeah.
put it
There's quite a few
yeah.
in town, and they run in family packs.
Mhm.
I don't like using the word packs, but they run in family groups, and they tend to be pretty vocal this time of year. And with the spring coming, there'll be a lot more activity, and they'll be out a lot more feeding their pups. So I think now is a good time to get the word out and let people know what they can and can't do, and to help them with the challenges that they may have with regards to their own pets or animals they keep in their yards.
And I just want to add that this is common. Their ground is common for them to be in East Long Meadow. Certainly we want to be concerned, but try not to be alarmed.
Correct.
And exercise a prudent decision-making.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Very good, thanks.
Welcome.
Next is budget.
Just, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to bring to the board's attention some information in the ongoing discussion with the budget process, since Mr. O'Connor would be here this evening, see if there were any questions or any further information. You see, there's a memo with information that was in large part provided by Tom, and we went over it to talk about call volume, activity, talking about licenses issued, tried to put it in a format for you to really have that at hand, particularly when the board is considering budget priorities during the process here. We know that the amount in total for the budget, if there were funding above the 1% available, would be in the neighborhood of $10,600 and some odd dollars. Between expenses and stipend increase. And so this information here for the board is for the board's consideration, really, to see in particular. I think the one point that Mr. O'Connor has tried to make is that allowing or increasing a stipend would allow for more time to be spent not only on calls addressing animal complaint issues, but also in researching and in pursuing increased licensure within town.
And he's making money. This is a department that makes money in doing its job. I think it's fabulous. There aren't that many departments that do their job and actually put money back in the budget to pay for what they do.
And then, I mean, not to beat a dead horse here, but I'm sorry. Okay, it's the only thing I could think of.
Animal control,
but,
really?
Nobody's in disagreement that you don't deserve.
Absolutely.
You know, the problem is the budget constraint. So, did you send this to the Appropriations Committee?
This was brought to the Appropriations Committee last Thursday, yes.
Okay.
Good.
And the response?
Well, the response in general was, thank you for the information, but what they need to do, their response is that the Board of Selectmen needs to make those choices and to present them to the Appropriations Committee, to present them for what the board believes should be the budget for town
Yeah, well, they
meeting.
had asked for our priorities.
Right.
And so I believe we're doing that later on this
Yep.
evening. It's just a tough time, that's all.
Right.
And we've given that 1%. But
Yeah.
I don't think anyone on this board would argue that you're not doing a terrific job, Tom, as a control officer.
Well, when we get to our priority list, we'll see what we can do.
But I'm not sure where you came up with the $10,000, Nick. But we can talk about that when we get to it.
It's the total for the
Increase.
increase of $25 per day for the stipend. which is 9125, I think is the number, and then the 1482, which would increase to those numbers for the expense accounts.
So it's beyond
that's
the
all-
1%, so
Yeah, 'cause
all
that's like
things
almost a
being good,
50%
that's what he's
increase.
asking for. So he's got his 1% budget, which is nothing, and what he wants adds up to $10,000 more, and so
Right.
that's basically what it is.
Okay, we'll discuss that after.
Okay. And then the next item is, you're having a rabies clinic?
The rabies clinic
Or
has
you had a
passed,
rabies
yeah.
clinic?
We had our spring rabies clinic, and it was what I would consider a success with the cooperation of the HCC, the Holyoke Community College Vet Tech Program, and A.W. Brown's in the clerk's office. We were able to vaccinate 44 dogs, 10 cats, and license 33 dogs that.
Yeah, you saw over 100 animals, that's fabulous.
Yeah, so we processed that many in that 2-hour time frame, which is the time frame that was allotted to us by HCC and Browns. So I would call that a good turnout. And anytime we can get a new animal licensed or get a cat or dog vaccinated, I think is important. And it was a low cost to anyone that attended, so it wasn't
Right.
just for the town
Okay.
residents, but also anyone that wanted to attend.
And how many from East Long Meadow attended? I think you said
22.
in here. 22?
Yeah,
22 dogs and 4 cats?
correct.
Yeah. Do you have to hold it at like an A.W. Brown's? Just out of curiosity?
Do not. They volunteer their
Okay.
space, and they also provide treats for the animals. So
Oh, okay.
it's kind of a nice
Oh.
draw.
That's
Okay,
nice,
great.
yeah.
I was just curious because of the 2-hour time frame. I didn't know if you thought you could get more accomplished with a little longer time frame, so.
Well, it's one that's really set by HCC,
Oh,
the
okay.
vet techs,
Okay.
and the veterinarian
Oh,
on site.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's their normal clinic.
Yeah.
And how
Okay.
many do you do a year? What, about 4? Is it 4 or
Clinics?
2?
Two.
2?
Yeah, we do one in the fall, which is a lower attendance, and the one in the spring is highly attended, as it shows here.
Do you think it's better to have an additional one, or no?
It doesn't hurt. The reason we hold it in late winter is that the licensing period ends on April 1st. So it gives folks the opportunity to vaccinate and license at the same time that live in town. With that said, after April 1st, anybody that licenses their dogs is late, and they are assessed a late fee.
Unless they get a new dog.
Correct.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, with the prevalence of the coyotes, is that anything for pet owners to, be more vigilant in their getting their dogs, rabies shots and their.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
If they're outside dogs, obviously.
Yeah, the one thing that you can do to help protect your pets, whether it be a cat or a dog, is to get them vaccinated. They're going to interact with a lot of wildlife in the spring. There's a lot of wildlife coming out of their dens. There's a lot of young being born. The higher incidence
Yeah.
of rabies is in the spring and the summer. So for them to have their animals vaccinated would save them a lot of aggravation and health bills.
Okay,
Okay. Good idea.
very good. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
For all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take a break.
Oh, that's right. I'd like to make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ready?
Okay, and we're back. I always feel like Murph Griffin or something. Next items, the approval of, is there a motion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the open session.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, pardon the interruption, but this, you see the heading there, consent agenda?
Yes.
So-
Also, we can do them in a group?
Well,
First.
this is the first one that the board would be considering.
Okay.
And I just wanted to give a minute, or to take a minute to just explain what I had done here. Was, for a consent agenda, it's typically for items, it allows for the board to consider taking one vote to approve all of the items under the consent agenda. Typically, those are items that could include minutes and routine matters, non-controversial type matters. So anything under consent agenda here, which would be minutes, a few requests from the Masonic Temple, and paint from a business, painting with a twist, a proclamation, and W.F. Young. Those presumably could all be approved with one vote to the effect of moving to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Right.
Now, any particular item under that consent agenda could be there could be a request from any board member to have it taken out of the vote and considered as its own item. And that could be, for any consent agenda item that's on there. That said, I would want the board to consider whether or not this is the format. These are the items that you want in there, and, any other commentary that you might have about it.
I think it's great that we are considering a consent agenda. However, I think the consent agenda should have them grouped in categories. For example, the open session and the executive session, those are minutes, so we could do that as one consent agenda. The request for the Masonic temples, those sort of requests, can be another consent agenda. So I just think they should just be split up, not all in one.
I think the title, through the chair, correct me if I'm wrong, he's saying the following 3 items are consent agenda items, so he has, am I wrong?
Because I understood you to say that all of these are under consent agenda.
Right.
And we would say, approve all of those
through
things. And not,
12.
so it would be the minutes and everything. And
Okay.
so
7
I'm
to
asking
12.
for it to be split up.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
I assumed that's what you meant, we take each
No,
of the
he meant
clumps.
he meant 7
What
through
I-
12.
What I'm saying is that
Okay.
the board looks at items 7 through 12, and under a consent agenda format, you would approve them. However, if the board had a question on
Got
any
it.
of those items in particular, a board member could request that be taken out of that vote and then addressed after the
Yeah, we can
consent
do that.
agenda vote.
And I guess what I'm, through the chair, I'm asking that, I love the idea of a consent agenda. However, I would like to have them separated out into minutes, the liquor license approval and the liquor license and
Well, how about,
all of those
yeah,
requests.
I was actually in agreement, except I was thinking the minutes, then do the Masonic Temple
Yeah.
as one.
Right.
It's just because if you're
I agree.
if you're watching on TV, and not that everything has to be transparent, but
Yeah, it
if
does.
we just approve 5 items as a group, no one knows what we just approved.
So why are we gonna do, so then we're gonna do 10, 11, and 12 all individually?
Yeah,
So then why bother with the consent agenda?
because instead of doing 5 items for the Masonic Temple, all
We're
the
doing
different
one,
licenses,
okay, so
we'll
okay.
say them, but only get one vote.
And the minutes are all just one big,
You got it.
okay,
Right.
got it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
That said, I would suggest that it's, that the format revert back then to its other, without having a heading of consent agenda.
It's not.
And at that point, what the board could do is take each item under its regular heading and just vote that way on items as they come up.
Right, so we can vote in a group for each item.
Right, you could take a look at, for example, the request from the Masonic Temple.
Yeah.
There's 3, I believe, 3 or more tonight. You could take a look at that and say, for example, the board might say, vote to approve the requests of the Masonic Temple, easy for me to say, as presented,
Yeah.
And that would include all of them.
and that would
Right.
include all of them. But
Okay.
again, there would not be a heading for consent agenda because it's not,
It's okay.
that's not really
Okay.
what's being done.
Right.
Yeah, because actually there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different items from, 4 different functions at the Masonic Temple. But yeah, we can do it. So we can do a request from the Masonic Temple for
All of the.
all of the items listed. Okay. Let's do it that way,
Okay.
if that's okay with the board. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the open session minutes and the executive session minutes as listed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I had made some minor changes, and they have been given to Lorraine,
Okay.
and so I would just ask that
Okay,
they
as-
be included.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept the open session and executive session minutes, including the amendments.
Mm-hmm. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a request to approve the various licenses and permits for the Masonic Temple, as noted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request from Painting with a Twist for the various
One more.
permits for their
11.
What's that?
11. request for equal pay day.
Well, I'm on 10 now.
Oh, Lord, sorry,
It's
forgive
okay.
me.
The various permits for the painting with a twist grand opening, as noted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a request for, is there a request for the proclamation Equal Pay Day, Tuesday, April 8th, 2014?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And lastly, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certificates of free sale for WF Young. There's 2 of them.
So, is that Board of Health? Is that what we talked about?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussions
Mhm.
through the chair, just to have it on record, have we received any complaints that would prevent us from signing this, Nick? Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, under old business, the fiscal year 15 budgets. Let's see, we've got budget priorities. So as we've stated numerous times, when the various departments went before appropriations, they had a budget adhering to the 1% increase, and they had a budget with a quote-unquote wish list. And some of them weren't wishes, some of them were actual items that we've had in the town budget that had to be cut due to the constraints of the budget, and some of them are, in my opinion, important. Some more important, some less important. So we have a list here of different items as far as priorities. Now I'm going to ask the board how do you want to handle this? Do we want to go through them? Do we want to take them and come back on the first? I mean, you know.
I want to preface this with how, last year when we did this, I mean, someone's going to end up on the bottom.
Right.
And it certainly is not an indication or a statement on behalf of the board that they are the least important. And I know that last year there were a couple folks that came in afterwards and were really hurt and somewhat even offended that they ended up on the bottom, and that certainly isn't the intention. Someone is going to end up at the bottom, and it's a very uncomfortable situation to be in, but it just is what it is. So whoever ends up on the bottom, it's not a reflection of the fabulous job that you do or the importance of the department or any of that, but rather difficult decisions need to be made. I would like to take time with this myself.
Okay. It needs a lot of time, because I did go through that and I had several questions. Unfortunately, Nick had to take all the time to go through it with me, but there are several questions. Some of them I'm surprised are on the list.
Right.
And so I think that's...
Okay. So should we take these and come back on the first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Is that okay, Nick? Okay. I didn't know if we were under any time constraints with anyone else. Next item, budget meetings with departments.
I put this on there for the board. I think the board's idea was to meet with departments if they had questions, but I put this out here to see if that's something that the board wants to do, is to schedule some kind of a meeting again with departments if they have questions in particular, or other departments they have questions with, et cetera.
That would be a good idea.
Okay. Should we just leave it to the liaisons if they have questions with their
meet with their departments, yes.
Yeah, with any budget questions, and bring them back to the board.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're asking questions to us, not us
Or we
asking
can
questions to
we're
them.
asking questions of them too.
And so what happens if you have a question to something that you're not a liaison to? I thought they would, because they present, my understanding, through the chair, is that they present their budgets.
Yeah, which they've done.
Which is done, and then we were to review them, and then if we had any questions, I thought that I thought it would be beneficial if they came back in.
Well, most of them have. I mean, we've already met, so I've met individually with my liaison, with my departments. They presented their budgets to me. I approved and or had any questions. They then all came to us and presented them.
we had the
So we've
meeting with
already
all of
met
them.
with them all. So the only thing left would be
No,
I mean, you had a chance, so I'll just point over you, Ryan. I mean, Ryan came to me as his liaison, he went through his budget, I said, great, thanks for the explanation. He came here, he explained it, said, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'll cut to meet the requirements, and we all looked at it. So if
Okay,
there's
so
a
then-
question.
Then it was brought to appropriations.
Correct.
So then at this point, what I will do is I'll gather up my questions and I'll present them to the liaisons.
Okay.
And then, I just think that they have a right to answer those questions directly, but I could go either way.
Okay. And then, Nick, an update from the appropriations meeting last week?
Well, first, on behalf of the Appropriations Committee, want to extend to the board an invitation to attend any and all of the, budget meetings. We made a point of saying that they appreciate when the board members are able to make the meetings. And if there are issues that the board members individually or as a whole want to bring to the committee, that it was my understanding that while they do have an agenda, if something comes up, if it really needs that attention, they are more than willing to provide time for the board members to address the committee. They really wanted me to make sure that it was an open invitation
Okay.
to all the board members. So I met with the Appropriations Committee on last Thursday, tried to go over several of the points here that are provided to the board, gave them this sort of checklist and also the information with the animal control, as mentioned earlier. And just talked a little bit about some of these issues. Maybe, I don't know if the board wants to go quickly through them, or how you want to proceed.
Sure.
Water and sewer article, a warrant article, I explained to them that the board will at least be the sponsor. They knew that Board of Public Works may ultimately be the sponsor, is what I'm hearing.
But at least they're in agreement, the Board of Public Works, for the need for it.
Yes.
Yes. There was some discussion and that there could be another warrant article. So right now, as the board gets to that portion, you would see that there's a placeholder for potentially something to do with the transfer station as an enterprise fund. I have not seen language on that, but there's discussion amongst the Board of Public Works, is how I understand it, about pursuing that. So there was a little bit of talk at that meeting about this. I think, let's see, health insurance, and I know that that's a separate topic here, but that was one. I informed the committee as to what the board's been doing about that, and explained that there may be that deliberation this evening as to whether or not something's going to be put forward. And the chairman, Mr. Denver, indicated that you had been in communication with him, Chairman Federici, talked about your thoughts on the matter.
Yeah.
And I would expect
Which
that
are?
you'll have that discussion. So, and then within here, item, the COA revolving fund, we talked about that. Budget transfers within those operations, celebrations, and legal. What I need to do is to present to the board what that looks like, so I expect to have that to you for your meeting on the 1st. The municipal space purchase, which is also an agenda item this evening. One of the biggest questions really was, whatever warrant article or warrant articles might be presented to the town, is what are the board's thoughts on how to fund them? What's the mechanism there? Animal control, as I said, is with the memo. And then an issue that I brought to them, there's clerical support for both the Appropriations Committee and the Capital Planning Committee. And what I talked with them about was that the way it was set up, recall that the Board of Selectmen agreed at the request of both committees to seek clerical support from the ranks of the employees here in Town Hall under the board's authority. Anyway, that has seemed to work out very well to everybody's benefit. The point here, though, is there was initially, the thought was that compensation for the work that this person does, which is above and beyond what they do in their regular full-time job, would be to accrue compensatory time rather. And they would need to expend it, during the course of the year. They would be allowed to. Anyway, the issue has come up that there's a request for payment of the hours rather than the compensation. And under advice of Labor Council, and it was stated when it was posted, that at the end of the year, that it would be paid out. However, the individuals had always taken the time and just wanted the time. It had never really become an issue, but Labor Council advised that if there's a request for the payment, that we need to make it. And so, there's a request, and what I brought to their attention was this issue and how to go about addressing it in the future. And so they may be suggesting an amount in the operations budget, in fact, to be put there. We're talking probably in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $3,000 to cover it. I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Alrighty, thanks. To follow through on that, we might as well just go right to the next item, which is health insurance. I did have a discussion on the phone with Mr. Denver, and I expressed my concerns, my personal concerns being, I asked him what the Appropriations Committee was looking for, and it was that magic number of $100,000. So I explained to him that through the town accountant, we had been told the budget item for health insurance was increased 6% for this year in anticipation of an increase. Scantic Valley Regional Health Trust came back to us the end of February and said they're actually funding any increase through their savings, so there will be no increase in our cost. So therefore, that 6% was sitting there. It's about $250,000. Once again, through our town accountant, I was told that because there were like 27 people that were being added to the plan, that ate up about $150,000 of that figure, leaving $100,000. So I tried to express, and I was speaking for myself, but hopefully for the intent of the board, I was trying to tell Mr. Denver that this decision to do anything with health insurance isn't something that we discussed this last meeting, that we felt comfortable rushing into. Regardless, and I know they said we've had it for a period of time as far as to discuss it, but ultimately we didn't know what Scantic Valley was doing till I think the letter was dated February 28th or 27th or something like that. So without full knowledge of what was going on, I didn't think we could rush into a decision which is going to affect all our employees in one way or the other. And also being, as someone told me, they said, you've got a health insurance plan that because of the way it was managed and because it was, and I think part of it was diligence on the part of the employees, even though I was told that's not necessarily the case. But I'm thinking, you go back to your employees and say, you've done such a good job holding your costs down that we're not going to increase the rates. Now we're going to make you pay more. You know, it just didn't seem right. It's just almost like a slap in the face. So anyways, that was what I expressed to him, and I sort of tried to get the point across that hopefully this $100,000 from the insurance would be what they were looking for. And I know personally, like, I'm not even prepared tonight to make a decision as far as where we can go with health insurance, and I don't know. Obviously, I'll open it up to you folks for your opinions on it, because I'm talking far too much.
No, not far too much at all. Just based on what you said, we definitely don't want to smack our employees in the face with a rate increase after they've done due diligence. But what other factors do we need to look at with regards to the insurance?
Yeah, that's the thing, is we also don't know, we don't have dollar values for, if you increase the deductibles, what does that say? What will that potentially cost? That's more like I consider that more like a user tax. If you're going to use the insurance more, you get the deductible. So if you don't use it, you get the benefit of a lower rate, but you don't have to pay the deductible. Or do you increase the portion that the townsperson, that the employee pays? So there's all sorts of figures that we need to get that unfortunately we haven't gotten yet. So that's.
And they're looking to save $100,000.
Yes.
Is that what they're doing?
Which
and so
in my simple math, they have, just by the fact that the insurance is.
The insurance costs did not go up,
Right.
and they were anticipating it to increase 6%.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's, and obviously I'd love to hear anyone else's opinion.
I think it's fine. I feel compelled to say that, they're talking about taking the opportunity for elected officials away to access.
Oh, is that what this is about? Okay.
That's part of it, yeah.
And I just want to say, I think in the last year, I've attended 47 meetings. The pay for this job is tremendous.
Are you kidding? Oh.
I
I'm
stepped
not into it
forward
for the
to,
pay,
I
but-
stepped forward
Billy,
to
make note
be
of this.
selectman because I wanted to give back. That was my reason. That I have an opportunity to access that benefit if I choose, the health insurance benefit, is an incentive to some people. Finding people to step forward and volunteer in important leadership positions in this community is very, very important. And obviously, the pay is not what we're doing it for. We're doing it for all the right reasons. But to someone, an opportunity to take advantage of the health insurance program that other people in town take advantage of may very well be the incentive for them to say, yes, I will volunteer and step forward and serve the town. To take that away may very well provide people with the opportunity to say, I just don't have the time to help the town. I see it as a value, and I would like to ask my fellow selectmen to give strong thought to whatever decision you go forward. Again, people don't run for office so they can get the health insurance, I'm certain, but I'm certain also that it's something that's considered. Health insurance is a huge, huge conversation in all families. And as an elected official, having the opportunity to opt into that, if I so choose, is of value to me. And I just want to put that out there, because that's something that I think needs to be discussed.
I agree completely.
Okay.
I mean, I'm certainly not in a position to vote to have that removed, so.
So I felt compelled to say that.
Well said.
Okay. Any further discussion on this matter?
I guess, you had mentioned a time frame with appropriations. When are they looking to, because it seems like there's more information coming in with regards to this, to make, there's more information coming in that will help us make this decision.
Mhm.
So what is there, did they say a timeline? I know you mentioned that they said we've had it for a while. Is there a timeline on this? Guesstimate?
It's probably up almost, because in order to, go ahead.
Yeah, the timeline is driven, well, in some part, of course, with the Appropriations Committee, who is going to make their annual public budget meeting presentation, I believe, on the 24th of April. I think that's the date.
On April 24th?
Yeah.
Okay.
However, it's more driven by the process and the requirements involved. The Appropriations Committee, the chairman believes that it can be done within 30 days, and I won't dispute that. He was, as a private individual working for a law firm, the one who helped us go through that process.
Okay.
However, there are minimum notice requirements. I think if the board made a decision tonight, we would still be very close to to the deadlines that we need, because what it is, the open enrollment period begins May 1st.
Right.
For this. So Corrine will need information beforehand
Mm-hmm.
to get printed up, to be able to distribute to employees and so forth. So the
Okay.
board, I think at this, I don't
Well,
want to present it as an ultimatum, but
Well, right
it's-
now, our chair has said that he's not ready to make that decision, and it's certainly something, while I appreciate the urgency, however, we do need to be prudent in making this decision, because it is going to affect families. And so I would defer until April 1st. if you could.
And what I was trying, I guess the point I was trying to get across to the chairman of the appropriations is, if in fact this number from the health insurance savings is a real number, then
Mhm.
you have your $100,000 savings.
Right.
So there's not this being painted into a corner and having to make a decision
Right.
immediately. We can,
Mhm.
we can work with it, and with all the budgets, with all the contracts coming up next year, we could do something in conjunction during the next,
The
next 12
next-
months to
okay.
get all this taken care of at the same time, but that's just my
Okay.
thinking, so if,
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I would just say to the board, to make it as clear as I can, that I think April 1st is too late. I don't know that for 100%, but I do think April 1st is too late. Of course, we'll look to try and present more information for the board on that date, but.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Next item, municipal space. We had two firms, or however you want to put it, one builder and one building owner,
There
give
were-
us
right.
answer for the request for a proposal. The one that we had looked at first came in. However, from what I've been informed, there's two things on that proposal that, which I have to get back to them on, or that do not qualify. Well, one's the elevator, LULA, that's what it's called. The limited use, limited access elevator is not, that they suggested, is not ADA compatible. So that information was given to me. And also, on a employee note, there was a unisex bathroom suggested on the first floor,
Right.
which was something that I don't know, that didn't seem like that would be a go over big. So we're going to try to get back to them on that. Now, in the meantime, as it always happens, I was part of a meeting last week. The DPW has come up with a plan for this building. It's fairly comprehensive. It covers a lot of what we need to do. It includes an elevator. It's a lot cheaper than the proposal that, was it Reinhardt? Reinhardt Associates gave us, because a lot of the work would be done by the town employees, by the DPW. So that's another item that what we're looking for is.
Where is that?
What's that?
I'm sorry, through the chair.
Yeah.
Where is that proposal?
We don't have it.
We don't have
We
to
don't
get it.
have it.
No, we can get a copy.
We
Because
should.
because they actually did a little presentation last week, so, of what's, you don't have that, do you, Ryan? No. Okay. Yeah,
I
all right.
have this, but
All right.
Well, if there was
Oh,
a
I-
presentation given, would they be coming to give a
I
presentation
think
to
they'd like
us?
to, but
I think if we're gonna be evaluating
But
everything, because
Yeah. Wait, that's a good idea, actually,
Yeah.
have them come here.
I'm sorry,
No, that's very good.
because
Because,
how can I evaluate something that I don't know
right,
about?
right. So what I'm thinking is, maybe we can get their little show in here on April 1st also. Which is, your last meeting will be 6 hours long,
it's
it'd
okay.
be great.
I'd like to, through the chairman, I'd like to acknowledge that, I looked at the two proposals, and I want to say that one of them, while it was very out of the box, our builder, very, very out of the box, interesting. Obviously, I think it's, renting space would be a challenge, but I thought the design was interesting, the concept was interesting. While it doesn't seem to fit with what we're looking at, I will applaud the creativity in the presentation, and the use of the property there behind Forestier. But I do think that we should allow DPW to present.
Mhm.
And again, I don't know what the timing for all of this is. You need a warrant article.
Well, we can always put a placeholder in, right, Nick, for the warrant article, or yeah.
Regardless of what it
We'll
is,
put
right?
one, I
Yes.
think that's what we're ultimately getting to here, is putting one in for the potential of the purchase of a building, and also putting one in for the potential of this project.
Renovation.
And that way, we can just table one, or, if it gets published, then just not act on it at the meeting, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So purchase and/or renovation.
I think should we do them separately? Yeah, we'll do one for the purchase and one for the renovation. So 2 different warrant items.
Okay.
You'd probably have to do renovation first, because if they vote on, well, you'd have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Because we've got to get, right now, we've got 2 proposals, which it doesn't, I'm sort of in agreement with you as far as the second one.
Very
Can we talk about that? Are they
Well,
public?
the,
Since I already am.
the question to the board is, are you ready to make an award, and who would it be to? And
It doesn't sound like we're ready. Because we don't have, we can't, because one of them hasn't met neither of them have met our criteria.
Right, one is too much money and one is
too much money and the other
not
one
in
isn't ADA
compliance.
compatible. So until we get a judgment on that, then I don't think we can make a decision.
And now we have a third,
And
which,
well, yeah, but I'm just talking about the 2
Yeah.
bids that we had in, so.
And that came in, the third one came in within that time, the third one
No,
through the
no.
chair?
third one is our own department.
Yeah, it's our own
trying to
department,
solve
so
it.
it's not really a
Didn't
request for
have to meet,
proposal.
okay.
So,
Okay.
I guess what we're saying is we're not gonna award the bid. And through you, I suppose, or I can do it, get back to get the questions answered about the ADA compatibility, so at least we'll know if we have a viable candidate.
Mhm.
And then we'll have the DPW in, but in the meantime, we can put placeholders in for, excuse me, for those warrant items, if that makes sense. Okay.
So we're not saying no, okay.
Okay. Now, what's our drop dead date for the warrant items?
Well,
To close them?
There was a proposal for the board to consider, probably April 1, but close is
Funny word?
It's closed in the sense, the board has used the word closed in the sense that no articles can be added.
Mhm.
But they could be taken out prior to that
Publishing?
publication.
Okay.
So if here, for example, with the municipal space issue, say the board decides that they don't want to put one of the 2 in there, you could take that position, or at least the one that you would be sponsoring, and have that taken out prior. There are, in the draft warrant that the board has, there are still the questions that need to be answered about which one's going to stay in, which one's
Right.
going to come out. I do need to get things going now with this warrant so that I can work with council.
Mhm.
As you know, there's several articles that need language developed, and so that, it's a process. We need time
Right, right.
to get that done. If the board closes and signs the warrant on
April 1st?
April 1st, then the questions there will be, and this is what the board has also done in the past, has adopted the practice of taking 2 votes on every article
Right.
that it would be the sponsor for.
One is as a board and one is individually.
One is to put the article on the warrant, and then the other is to take a vote as to whether or not you support it.
Okay.
Those 2 don't necessarily have to,
Right.
you don't have to necessarily agree with it.
And do we take that vote when we close it? Or can we take that at a later date? Because what I'm thinking is, suppose, you get, excuse me, you get the, we've got 2 warrant items, one for the purchase of a building, one for this building being renovated. Obviously, if we have both of those on there, it's gonna be tough to, we can vote to have them included, but it's gonna be tough to support them both, because one's gonna win out over the other. So I didn't know if we could close the warrant on the first, but not necessarily have our board votes or our personal votes at a later date.
Well, I think the board
Okay.
can certainly do that.
I'm getting the nod from the bullpen catcher.
I guess you would have a new member by the time you would go to vote on those articles.
Right. Well, actually, yeah, but that's right. We could vote to close with this board, but if we did it next week, as far as the actual vote for each warrant item, you're right. So, okay. All right. And then, obviously, because of this, because we don't know what direction we're going in, as far as a funding mechanism, do you have any pearls of wisdom?
The discussion that the Appropriations Committee had was thinking that it must be some perhaps kind of debt exclusion, which would be a vote at town meeting to approve it being subject to a later vote, a subsequent ballot vote for the approval. But you would need to have, certainly all the figures about how the financing is going to work and what it would mean potentially for individual tax bills.
Right.
On a 20-year term or whatever the terms would be.
Okay. All right, thanks. All right, next item is the warrant articles. So are we, is that why you're here, sir, or did you just have a slow Tuesday?
Yeah. This is the big show, and I want to see.
Wow.
I want to see how it's developing.
I thought that was the NCAA's, was the big show. Okay, so as far as the, let's see, as far as the warrant articles, you've gone over, some of these items that you went over last week had to do with potential warrant articles. Water and sewer, we were going to put on, I believe. It doesn't sound like, I don't know if it's going to would be a warrant item, but the health insurance, obviously, we're not prepared to do anything on. Did the appropriations say anything while I'm going through this list about voting in favor of the revolving fund for the Council on Aging, or? I was sort of hoping they would have taken a vote last week, but that's
right. They did
wishful
not
thinking.
take a vote. I believe that they would prefer the Board of Selectmen to take that vote first.
Oh, okay.
But they would also had discussion about. I guess there had been some information that the accountant had said that it may not be running to the point where it needs to be increased.
Right.
So they were looking to have it more towards the May-June period and see where the funds are at.
Oh, okay, so we can do this at any time?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yes. Again, what that is the revolving fund. Town meeting approves a cap number, if you will, of funds not to exceed, I believe it was 100, whatever the number was, and that's the most that could be spent. That doesn't mean that that's all that's in that account, but to increase that cap requires action by the Board of Selectmen and then ratification by the Appropriations Committee.
Okay. Okay, now, are there any other, I'm looking at this list, are there any other questions as far as, like, warrant items?
The other thing that I would just say to the board is that, in particular with articles, the first articles say 2 through 6. Some may or may not be on there. Some years we have them, some years we don't. Prior years' bills. The Board of Selectmen are the sponsors for those. I would ask the board just to be mindful that that's really going to be a function between the town accountant and the Appropriations Committee. Certainly the Board of Selectmen ultimately has that, but the board has that authority. But these being financial housekeeping articles,
They plug in the figures.
They plug in the figures. But they may be here or they may not be here. They don't have word yet from the accountant. He may not know for a couple of weeks anyway.
Okay, all right.
If I may?
Yes.
I believe there was one additional matter that was discussed by the Appropriations Committee, but I'm not sure what the status of it is, and it has to do with funding, partially funding, an account, which I don't know whether the account actually exists, for the ongoing employee benefits, the OPEB regulations. And I think the Appropriations Committee has been discussing allocating $50,000 towards that obligation. I don't know whether that would be part of the budget or whether there would be a separate line item for it. I don't know, again, whether such an account exists. I know the chairman of the Appropriations Committee tried to get input from the town accountant today, but I don't know, I don't believe he got the answer, but I don't know that, so I just want to ask that.
All right. So if we find that out, then we can determine whether we have to put a warrant item on, or if it's part. I remember the discussion when they were going through the budgets that they have to start funding for that. So I don't know if it is a line item on the budget.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, would it be wise to just put a placeholder in for it?
Well, so advised.
Yeah. Probably a good idea. Okay. All right, and obviously we'll table the vote to close till next meeting. Next item is the annual, I think that's it as far as that, right? Okay. Next item is the annual town reports, which I'd love to say we did a great job on, but you did a great job, Nick.
That's why you get the big bucks, Nick.
I've spoken with Nick.
Bye, sir.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. I've spoken with Nick. I have some additions tomorrow.
Okay. All right, good.
So it looks good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I ask the board to consider approving them either with, well, first, take a look at them, improve them, pending whatever additions or edits that Selectman Thorpe will have for the Board of Health report?
It's
So
not
that-
just the Board of Health, it's also,
Okay. I
our
do need
chairs.
to, I do need to get them to the the graphics person.
Mhm. I spoke to you about that earlier today, though.
I know,
Okay.
I appreciate that, yes, but
Okay.
I need to do that before April 1st, so I'm asking
Okay.
the board to just allow me to send them along to, once you provide those edits to me.
Okay, with the corrections for
Right.
tomorrow, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you don't mind,
Uh-huh.
just send over the corrections so I can just see what I'd like on the
Absolutely.
town report, with the regular town report one. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Health town reports for the year 2013, fiscal year 2013?
2014.
Noting any changes to be made, or recognizing any changes to be made.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Cable television, Charter Communications, their annual PEG access support payment. It's $190,005. That basically funds LCAT for, you know,
Right.
couldn't put any simpler, huh, Don? So it's, you know, it doesn't come out of tax money, it does come out of taxpayers' pockets who are cable subscribers, but it doesn't come out of the actual tax revenue. The next item is the cable ascertainment hearings. There's one March 19th, June 19th, and September 18th, according to this.
We set them up so that the public could have a choice of meetings to attend, to voice any opinions that they may have about the cable access, and explain what the process is as we're renewing that, that contract. The 19th and the June 19th and September 18th will be held at the Council of Aging. And we just wanted to make sure we got all 3 dates out there, so if you're not able to attend one of them, perhaps, if you're not able to attend one, perhaps you can attend one of the other 2.
We hope that,
And
I'm
the-
sorry.
The one tomorrow is going to be Council of Aging, and the other 2 will be at the,
The other two, if I could.
yes, please.
What was discussed and planned is that on June 19th and September 18th, committee members will be at the Council on Aging during about 11
Oh, yeah.
a.m. to 1 p.m. to allow folks to have a daytime office hours, if you will. But those evenings will also have hearings at the LCAT studios.
Right.
So it would be presumably 7 o'clock. on those
7 o'clock,
evenings.
located right behind the high school. And we'll get that in the newspaper and have a map that'll show exactly where to go. But the one tomorrow is at Council of Aging in the media room.
And this is the hearing that people can express their concerns about cable, about the cable company. And I hate the cynic in me always comes out with these, but I can tell you that I get people all the time complaining about the cable company.
Right.
And then last year we had the meeting and 9 people showed up. So hopefully the fact that you're having more than one hearing may give people an option to come in at different times, because it's like the town meeting. It's disheartening to see so few people take part in
Exactly.
the process when there's so many people that are unhappy or that have questions.
And we
So-
also figured by spreading it out, too, by having one in June and then the last one in September, that gives people an opportunity to plan if they have to get time off, et cetera.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Next item is the Board of Selectmen's Benefits Administration Clerical. There's a recommendation for hire. Nick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. There's a recommendation from Selectman Bronski and I to, well, first of all, I think I wanted to say thank you very much to the candidates that interviewed
Yes.
with us. Very professional, very sharp, a lot of good qualities from each of the candidates, and which made the decisions. We had to be very thoughtful in our decisions, which we were going to be anyway, but they gave us a lot to think about. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. Our recommendation for this position would be to hire Pauline Saletti for the position. I do know that Selectman Thorpe had also conducted interviews, and didn't know if she had a recommendation as well for the position that she would want to offer.
Do you?
I do, but I think it's null and void at this point. It just so happens that it would have been the same candidate.
Okay.
But I'm just a little,
Okay.
I'll just, that's it. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Okay, in deference to that, is there a motion to approve Pauline Saletti as the new Benefits Administration?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, save me for that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, then I have a follow-up
Yes.
question, which is not put on the agenda, but it does have a ripple effect. As you're aware, Ms. Saletti is currently employed with the IT department, and I think the IT director would like to begin the process as quickly as possible because of the work that department does, and Ms. Saletti will be tough to fill her shoes.
Yes.
But on the bright side, you got more room in there now.
She's a
You're
skinny
always
little thing.
complaining about the room.
She's not going to leave much.
I know her.
So I would ask the board to consider what, if any, action the IT director should take.
As, through the chairman?
Yeah, sure.
As your liaison, you have a job description.
Yes.
So whatever the process is that we have,
If I could,
please do.
we had just hired.
Come on up.
Hey, Brad.
We hired a new employee 2 years ago about, and we had requested to the union to bypass the internal posting. I would suggest that we can follow that same procedure, just to, we know who's internal, and unless Pauline reapplies for it, there's really no one else internally that could do it. The union did grant us that last time.
Sure.
Just expedites the process.
So you're gonna ask them for that again this time? Or are you just you're gonna ask them again to?
The union, yeah, to
Okay.
bypass the internal
Okay.
posting and.
And the worst they can do is say no.
That's right.
Right.
Okay, sure,
Yeah. I think do whatever you're supposed to do to get things moving.
okay.
She will be hard to replace. She was very impressive.
She absolutely will be.
Okay, very
Good
good.
job
Do we have to
training
vote on that?
I think as long as the board and the department head are clear as to what the process will
Okay.
be.
And we're,
So, I guess I'm not clear. So you're going to ask my understanding is that you're going to ask the unions if you can bypass the,
I think
the
Nick, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen,
Right.
would approach the union to bypass the 2-week
internal posting.
internal posting requirement, because it is a union position.
mhm.
And then from there, externally, or if they agree to that, externally post it. And then the procedure we did before was myself and Craig, our network admin. We did the interviews. We interviewed 12 people out of 137 applicants, and then came forward to the board with the recommendation for hire.
Well, I would love to be in part of the interviewing process. I think the board should be represented
That's,
in that process.
that's where we differ, because I have nothing, I don't know anything about your job, so, I don't know. But that's fine.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All right, so go forth with vigor.
Okay.
All right.
You know how to contact me.
All right. And last under this is the personnel evaluations, and Saints be praised, I actually did them, and they're in an envelope in there, and,
And mine are done as well, so, yay.
okay.
And I had the most, I'm just.
So now we have to decide, we had decided what we were gonna do.
Right.
Somebody was gonna calculate,
So what's gonna happen
compile.
is you all will have a chance to look at my evaluations and comment if you so choose. We will document, so I've done Nick's, and I've signed my name. Now you can look at it and you can say, well, Deb gave him a 4, I wanna give him a 3 on this, or I disagree, and you can add your comments if you so choose, or you
Okay.
can just say, I have no comments.
Okay.
And each of us has the opportunity to do that, and then they get tallied so that the person may see all the comments from all of the selectmen, and we take
Okay.
it from there.
All right, so how are we gonna do this? Where are we gonna have them available?
So, I have my envelope, you have your envelope,
Yeah,
perhaps
mine's
we
on the
just
desk, yeah.
leave them in your office to be handed off, and maybe put a little piece of paper and have, someone sign off that they've looked at it and
Sign the envelope.
sign the envelope. Great idea.
Okay.
Yes?
Sound good? Okay. All right, next. Board of Health, you're back.
We have before you have the resignation of Amy Petrowski, our health agent. We have put it out to bid. Amy has agreed to train the next person, and she said that she would be able to do that on Saturday. We do have some applicants that she and I will go over, and certainly we can forward those to you if you'd like to. She also, one of the things that she mentioned in our conversation was perhaps having her stay on until that position is filled as an advisory. I don't know if that's to the board's pleasure. I would be concerned if we had nobody to go to. Also, she was kind enough to leave us with a copy of all of her regulations, and so we're not left totally blind, but I would advise that we would keep her on at least until the person is hired in an advisory spot.
Yeah, I really liked her. She was sharp. And
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
I would think.
She is very sharp. She did request a difference in her pay to be an advisor.
Lower?
Yeah. I tried my best.
She got less time.
Well, she'll be here less time. We
Yeah,
won't be over
yeah,
budget by any
right.
means.
It wouldn't put us over budget, and it's fair because it could have been a lot worse than it was. But she's very sharp, and she is pretty much doing us a favor. So if that is your pleasure, certainly we would keep her in an advisory until we can get the position filled.
Do we have to vote on that, Nick?
I would think that it would be nice to have that.
As long as the advisory doesn't go over what the normal pay would have been previously.
What the pay line item. Okay, yeah. So I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. There is a public nurse, the public health nurse will have their kickoff meeting on March 27th at 2 p.m. at the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. And that is it. New business, of the temporary food service application. One of the things that we passed today was a temporary for one of our food services was providing a service for the gentleman with the twist. What's the name of that, Nick?
Painting with a twist?
Painting with a twist. And on the application, I don't know if you noticed, it had the name of the business that was providing the service, but nowhere on the application did it say where the service was being provided. And if you look at the application. So what I'm suggesting is that we look over that form and perhaps make a minor adjustment for when somebody is catering something, that we have the address, because it's really the people who are hiring them that are getting the permit.
Right.
So we need to have the address where it's going to happen. Otherwise, it looks like, for example,
The
that
caterer.
that the caterer's having the event. And that's not, I just think in the effort to be transparent.
Look at the
that-
physical location of the event. or
Right,
just-
exactly. Address and the name,
Yep.
period. And it's just a simple thing, and if I can get your approval to do that, I can have Lorraine do it. She knows how to do it.
Excellent.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
So I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes, and that's it for me.
Okay, next under correspondence, we've got a request for a letter of support from Dartmouth, Massachusetts Select Board regarding small business tax exemption. Nick, you want to give a little detail on this? Do you mind?
They're just asking the board if it would support that. It would, and the bullet points for it, it would expand the current tax exemption from 10 to 20% of their respective tax bill. And this is for the small businesses, let's see.
Less than $1 million,
Right,
with less than 10
$1 million,
employees.
right. And would allow East Long Meadow to expand the assessed value exemption from $1 million to $2 million, and then increase the number of employees a small business can have qualify for the exemption from 10 to 20 employees. And so that's what they're asking the board to consider signing on to, supporting.
So this is offering businesses relief as opposed to an increased tax, correct?
Yeah, right, the idea is
Just
to
making
provide
sure I'm-
small businesses relief.
Good.
So, but through the chair, right now, we have one tax rate. Is this going to create a different tax rate?
No.
No, it's just going to give them a credit on the tax rate they have now.
From whom? The state?
Well, obviously it'll be from the town, because they're talking property tax, right?
Right, but what they're asking, right, and what they're asking is for the board to make this request of, presumably it's a local delegation, legislative delegation, to support these efforts. But to answer Selectman Thorpe's question, it wouldn't have an effect, it has nothing to do with the tax classification for a single rate.
Okay.
Whether or not, what effect it might have on the tax, the overall tax rate, I don't have that information.
Right.
Perhaps we can ask them to send us
Well,
the legislation that we would be looking at supporting.
And plus, we'd want to see how it affects our town.
Correct.
Right.
I don't know how, without knowing what it's going to, I mean, I think it's great in theory, because you're helping the businesses that are the ones
Exactly,
who.
but I think you would be
Yeah.
creating another classification.
So the question for the board really is, do you think it's something worth pursuing and bringing back to the board? At least
Get
taking a
more
look at,
information.
getting information.
Yeah, if we can.
Yeah,
if we
get more
can
information.
Yeah, get the
Yeah.
legislation that they're looking to have us approve or support, that would be helpful. We can refer whatever bill number it is, we can download it from the Mass,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
mass.gov site.
Okay. Next, last but not least, is town accountant.
Town council.
Town
Town
council.
council. Well, not town accountant, I'm
Are
sorry.
you an accountant now?
I'm accountant on the brain.
He does so much.
Yes, you do.
You just got a demotion.
Maybe 2 in a month, you'll be done.
And unless I'm mistaken, everything's executive.
I believe both are, yes.
Oh, that's right. Well, we have 3, actually. Do you have 2 or 3?
I have 2.
We have 2 we have 3 in a letter. 3.5.
Well, the
Oh.
letter's part of,
That's
one, yeah.
Actually, I don't, the material that I have on item 29, I'm not sure would necessarily
The executive?
be executive. It's really just a request for documents.
Oh, okay.
This is really not even a discussion matter, it's just a request.
Mr. Chairman, to address through council. It has, it's really a notification to the Board of Selectmen regarding a bypass appeal.
Just notification?
Just notification to the Board of Selectmen that it's
One's been filed?
Yeah.
Okay, take that off the list.
Then, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of non-union contract negotiations and what would we call the other, what would we call item
The other
28?
one is consultation with counsel regarding attorney-client privilege matters involving the Covanta contract.
What he said. Return to open, only to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Yes.
favor?
Yes.
No, wait a minute, we gotta do it all.
Aye, yeah.
Selectman Thorpe?
Yes.
Selectman Federici, yes. Selectman Borowski?
Yes.